Hello, to our next episode of the our podcast. We have here Praveen here. Now, Praveen has a 1 on his name tag, means it's his first time here, but he already shared with me that you're working on your 3rd startup, and that is so fresh that you haven't even gotten a name for it. That's one.
Right.
But before we go into the 3rd startup, can you just give me a little background? What were the 2 first startups that you were? Do we know them?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you've heard of them, but one of them was the first one I did here was called Ambient with a P, play on words of ambient and amps. So we made power efficiency software for data centers. And it was a little bit ahead of its time, even before people started noticing that power consumption was huge in data centers. And you could actually effectively reduce your power bills just by tweaking many areas of your software, of your BIOS, and those kind of things.
And what happened to that company?
So we did well. We got a very good project out of it. Initially, it started as a NIST ATP grant application because the startup I worked for before was started with a ATP grant. And for other entrepreneurs, if they don't know, they should definitely look up NIST ATP. It's a fantastic ATP Advanced Technology Program.
Okay.
It's a fantastic grant program. What we loved about it is that it's for high-risk areas of technology, meaning you're essentially creating something that will benefit economy, country, and technology, and so on. But it is so cutting edge or so advanced and risky that even VCs are not willing to fund it yet.
Oh, okay.
In fact, as part of the grant application, we had to get letters from some of the VCs that we had approached to say that they are actually rejecting us.
Because it's too
it's a little.
So what happened then to your, say the name again, MPN?
Ambient, yes.
MPN. So what happened to the company? Is it still running? Does it shut down? Did you exit it?
No, it hasn't been shut down. What we did was we took some of the IP and we used it for other purposes.
Okay.
Yes.
So transformed into
something.
something.
Like a consulting company.
Okay.
So we started using the IP that came out of Ambient.
Okay, gotcha.
So
what was then your 2nd startup? I just wanted to get your background before.
So the 2nd startup was called Play by Play. It was a mobile sports broadcasting platform. And this was when the video on mobile phones were still in its early stages. So what we essentially were trying to do was that provide a mobile platform for sports fans so that they could create a social network out of sporting arenas from major sports, football, basketball, baseball.
Okay, not soccer? I like soccer.
We tried soccer.
A friend said to me, like the difference between American football and soccer is that American football is turn-based strategy and soccer is real-time strategy.
Yes.
But
personally, I'm a bigger fan of soccer than I am of football.
What's your team?
From soccer?
Yeah, what's your favorite team?
Germany.
Germany?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a national team. Do you have a club sport?
No, not a big follower of club sports.
But you've been here already for 10 years, you showed earlier.
Yeah, well...
And you're not following New England Revolutions?
Here, not so much. Like, I don't follow US soccer that much at all. But outside, I like Real Madrid, I like Chelsea, a few of those. So that...
Okay.
That's that.
Well, Germany won the World Cup, and everybody said
that game. Oh my God! Against Brazil was the most. It was the most unbelievable. It was. I had like so much fun of all the World Cups that this was just amazing.
Well, you don't even shoot that many goals in a practice game. That was kind of nice. But let's not talk about soccer too much here. Now, so it's a play-by-play, but now your newest one that kind of just kind of piqued my interest on this one.
Yes.
What is so new? You don't even have a name for it yet.
That is correct.
What can you tell us about it so far?
Well, it doesn't have a name, but that doesn't mean it's like a super stealthy or anything.
Right.
So just as a very quick 30-second background to that was that prior to this year, for the last couple of years, I had been doing a lot of consulting work. So I'd been helping other startups and mid-sized and slightly bigger companies with technology problems, especially on their mobile space. Right? So it was effectively a consulting company. Right? So it was like a stopgap solution between startups. then this year, I decided like it's time to do another startup, just because I like it, and Boston is a perfect place for that. Right? So I shortlisted 3 ideas that I came up with, and I started vetting them one by one to see which makes most sense technologically, business-wise, and how it will help end users. And
Did
so
you
on.
had like you approach it systematically? No, you had multiple ideas. You narrowed it down to 3. I think that's a very interesting thing because. Especially with ideas. When I have an idea, I think it's the greatest idea until I wait 1 or 2 months and I think, oh my, this wasn't really a good idea at all.
Absolutely.
But how did you vet your ideas? How did you evaluate them?
So it was a methodical and a somewhat laid out process over a few months. Right? So methodical in a sense, you apply each aspect of it one at a time. First aspect, obviously, you have to see is there any value to the end user in that? It's one thing to come up with something really cool and that excites you, which is great. I'm not like a super wealthy individual that I can pursue my own.
A common theory is that exciting business ideas don't make as much money as boring business ideas.
Right. But also it is that there's a timing for everything. Okay. There's some ideas that appeal to individuals. It's okay. They can pursue it if they want. Personally, I'm not in that place yet, right? Where I can, I like probably some founders who have already made it big can indulge in their fantasies, if you will. I'm not there yet, right? So I have to pick carefully. So the first thing I do is to see what is the value to the end user for which it's targeted. Is it actually improve something or make sense, make something easier, cheaper, more higher quality, or any of those kind of things. Right?
Okay.
Second step is to actually look at it from a business perspective. Is it a viable business? If I start a company, which means that there will be employees, and there will be expenses, and so on and so forth, can this business survive off of this idea? Can this manufacture, whether it's a hardware product or a software product, and actually make a profit out of it? Right? Because let's be honest, the goal is to make a profit-making company, and not. I'm not doing a non-profit here. Right?
Now, how many more steps are there in this process? Because
so the only other step is to then vet it with other people who are in areas that's not my personal expertise, right? So I vetted with people like who are experts in like marketing and
but you specifically looked at people that are expert in the field, so you didn't just ask your friends or your mom and dad what they think of their idea. So really,
I sought out
understand
people with over 10 years experience in like just as for these 3 ideas specifically.
How did you find those people?
Through my network, because I've been here for more than 10 years now, 10 to 15 years, and I've developed connections. Second, you'll be surprised how much helpful people are if only you ask them. Right. And they just help for the sake of helping. Right. So there's so many people that I met who I never met before, and I just said them like, hey, I have this idea, and I know you're an expert in this field. Could you please help and vet me?
That's very, very true.
And they were so helpful. Right. They didn't expect anything in return. In fact, a lot of them enjoyed the conversation so thoroughly that we have kind of become friends after that.
Awesome. Now, as I don't think we have answered it yet, so can you maybe give us 2 or 3 sentences on what is it actually that you decided on? What was it that you're working on? The nameless company or the nameless startup that you're working on?
So of the 3, they're still in play, but the one that made it to the top of the list, and I think is as of the most
the one that survived, just the one that survived.
The one survived is to it's in the security space. The goal is to make authenticated, secure logins possible. Whether it's login I'm using here is loosely speaking. What it means is that you could be logging into a website, or you could actually be having a phone conversation with someone. The goal is to authenticate that person. on both sides.
Okay. So thank you, Praveen. Now, if somebody wants to talk with you about how to properly vet an idea, if they have trouble with something, they want to get more from what your process was, how you did it. Would you be willing to share that with them?
Absolutely. And I encourage any entrepreneur in the area.
Awesome. And then, listeners, if you're interested in learning more about Praveen or about his business, how he makes logins more secure, how can they get a hold of you?
It's very easy. I've picked a very easy email for that kind of contacts. It's
Praveen.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.